Welcome back to Nightstand Coffee. I'm Todd.
And I'm Jennifer.
And this is Season 2, Episode 13.
Yeah, we're rolling into the end. Like we're going to go to 15, so we've got 3 more episodes counting this one.
Yeah.
So then we'll have a little bit of a break.
And then we'll come back for Season 3.
Yes.
There may be some changes coming in Season 3. We're thinking some things talking about some things. Whatever we do, it's going to be fun. So come on back and join us for it.
We want to go ahead and mention our email address, nightstandcoffee@gmail.com. If you have any questions for us or anything that you're wanting us to cover, we would love to hear from you, or any feedback for us. We'd want to know about it.
Yeah.
And so today we're wanting to talk about how you act like in front of your kids.
Yeah. I do have a song for this one.
Okay.
Yeah, remember that Alabama Shake song? Don't want to fight no more.
Yeah, I do.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Well, great. Thank you for bringing your songs to this.
Hey, you're welcome.
And so as we kind of talked through just a little bit about what we wanted to talk about for this episode, we both ended up crying.
Pretty raw.
Yeah. So we're not really sure what's going to come out today in this. So if this episode gets aired, if you're hearing this whole thing, then we made it. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But just kind of wanted to talk about what are your kids seeing?
Right.
You know? And so what kind of prompted this was there's a question about, like, how do you treat your spouse in front of family and other people? Like, are you respectful to your spouse when people are watching?
Yeah.
Even when they're not watching, but specifically when people are watching. That's what we're going to talk about today. You should be respectful all the time. But are you doing it with an audience? Right? So how are you talking to your spouse in front of your kids and in front of other people? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think that some couples are able to tease each other in ways that other couples aren't. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really about having an awareness of your spouse and going, hey, okay, what are they comfortable with? What are they not comfortable with?
I don't even think it's just about teasing, though. I think there's more to it, but keep going.
Go ahead. Read the room.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a hard time with that whole kind of idea when I see people running each other down in public, even if they're laughing. Because what I always assume is, okay, if they're willing to say these things about their spouse in public, even if they're laughing, there's some underlying stuff there that's unresolved. There's some things there that are problematic, and so even when it's a teasing thing, I think, man, there's some issues here that they're masking with humor, but they're not really dealing with.
Well, and so I don't know that it always has to be in a humorous way. Like, I think people can speak unkindly to each other without humor involved.
Yeah.
And they don't mind who's hearing it. They name call, they cuss words, whatever. They just aren't respectful to each other and people are watching.
Yeah.
And so then I think that's a very valid point. If they're willing to do that when people are watching, what are they doing behind closed doors?
Yeah.
Like, if this is public,
because we want to put our best selves forward in public. I mean, that's how we tend to operate, at least. And so, if your baseline in public is, calling each other names and
throwing stuff,
whatever,
or whatever, just having it out.
Then chances are that what's happening behind closed doors is an order of magnitude more severe than that.
So when you think about your own parents and what you saw when they were married, and then even when maybe, I guess when your dad would have remarried, because by the time your mom remarried, you were already out of the house. We were already together at that point.
Yeah, I was living in Harrison.
I think we met. We weren't dating yet when your mom got married.
Right.
I wasn't dating you.
I
You were
was dating
me.
you.
Go back to episode 1.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, season 1, episode 1. Okay, so talk about that. So what did you see? How did your parents treat each other? Like your biological parents, your mom and dad?
Publicly, really well. They always, they never fought in public. They didn't talk bad about each other, at least when I was around, Certainly, I'm sure that my mom and my dad both were having conversations with their friends.
You assume that.
I'm assuming, right. Maybe they weren't. I don't know. Maybe that, anyway, that's another episode maybe. But they never did that in front of us, at least in public, right? Like, They didn't fight. They didn't say negative things about each other. They didn't call each other names.
In public.
Right. It was always, And even at home, they didn't call each other names. Now they fought like crazy. There was a lot of conflict. And so really there was this dichotomy. And what I mean, you learned kind of very quickly, hey, when we leave the house, everything's good, and then at home it wasn't.
And so how did you live that out? How did you feel about those things? How do you think that impacted you?
Honestly, as a kid, I don't know that I don't know that I had any thoughts about how I felt about it. It just was what we did. It was just how we lived. As an adult, looking back at it now, I go, oh man, that was really not healthy. Right? Was it good that they didn't call each other out in public? Yes, absolutely. But there was a hypocrisy to it where we weren't okay, but we made everybody think we were okay.
Yeah. Well, and I think you see that a lot of times in Christian families.
Yeah.
Like you put on this front. I think you see it less now. I think people are more willing now to show what's not so great. But definitely when we were growing up, it was not okay to say there was problems.
Right. Yeah. No, you put on your Sunday best and you put on a smile and you know,
and you just did
fine.
it. Right.
Yeah.
You showed up. So what do you think?
And my parents were leaders in the church, right?
Yeah.
So like my dad was the Sunday school superintendent and he led worship, and my mom played the piano and was the leader of the youth group for a long time, and was, like they were respected, and they were, and so I'm sure for them, part of it was, we have to lead people, right? We have to, we're people are looking at us. People are, and you feel a certain pressure. I mean, I know I'm in ministry, and I understand that pressure. You feel, and so I don't want to like just throw my parents under the bus. Right. There were maybe not good reasons, but understandable reasons why they might have behaved in that way. But it masked a problem that was there that really they needed to have had some help with, right? That they weren't talking to anybody. They weren't having counsel about, their marriage.
That we know of.
Right, Yeah.
So then what about your dad and stepmom when they got married? Did you see any differences in how they interacted versus how your dad and mom interacted?
No, it was pretty similar. And there was conflict for them early on in their marriage. My dad and my stepmom, that is, and they were able to weather it and overcome it and get through it. But it was a kind of a similar deal. I mean, public face was always good, and then there were, there was problems at home for a while, and then not. They're still together. They're doing great, And my dad, hopefully, as all of us do, my dad has grown and matured, and I've watched my dad change over the years, and like, be softer, and honestly more Christ-like. Even and we may have talked about this on the show, but I mean, even when in his relationship with me, in some ways, I cannot have a conversation with my dad that he does not tell me how proud he is of me and cry every time, And I think it's because some of that is hard fought and hard won. It took a long time to get there. Not just in my relationship with him, but like for him in his marriage and in his, he recognizes and sees the struggle and, and is appreciative of where he is now. So.
Well, and I think I would hope that's true for all of us, right? That we're not where we were when we started.
Yeah.
Right? Like as Christ followers, that you can look back and see that we used to do things a certain way and that we have grown and we are no longer doing it that way anymore.
Well, and I think that's a super important part of having a successful marriage is recognizing like, I am not the man you married 26 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not the same, In some ways I am. But I hope that I'm not that guy,
Yeah.
That guy needed to grow. That guy needed to mature. That guy needed, you know what I mean? And you're not the same,
right?
Either. And so if, when we're able to embrace that and understand that, it can help us in our marriages. But sometimes we don't give our spouse credit for changing, or we haven't spent enough time investing in them to love who they are now. We just keep wishing that they were still who they were back then, or
right.
And really, probably that's a rose-colored glasses situation where we're not really seeing what was reality.
Right.
But anyway.
Well, and so then when I think about my parents, they did fight. They definitely, they yelled quite a bit too, what I remember, but I don't think that they did a whole lot of fighting in front of us. I feel like that they would fight in their bedroom, and so we would hear it. But I don't know that I can really tell you content of those things. I don't remember them being name callers. I don't think they did that like that. And that's never been something you and I have done. So I don't think that was modeled for me.
Right.
But I do think that they would fight for sure. And then, but I do remember my mom being very protective of my dad, like publicly, like, was very careful about what she would say about him, and even now would be careful about what she would say.
Yeah.
And so
I agree with that.
Yeah. And then sometimes I'm like, what is the big deal? You know what I mean? Like, why are you not willing to tell somebody that this is going on? This feels silly that you're not willing to say this is happening. But like, I think she's been very protective of him. So I definitely would say that from the outside, things would look good. Yeah. Right. And maybe not be so great at home.
Yeah. Well, and let me say this in regard to that. There is a degree to which that is a very good thing, right? I should protect you, right? I should be careful what I say about you in public. I should want to present you in the best light possible. But there's a point at which that can go beyond just trying to protect my spouse into hiding issues that really we need to get some help with.
Right. And so that would be like an unhealthy secret to keep, right?
Yeah.
We talked about before in an episode about, needing to not talk badly, and to share private things with your friends. But like if you're unsafe, or if you feel like that you're at risk for being hurt, as in physically hurt, that there are things that you need to share with someone else. So like, you need to, it's not across the board that you would never ever share these things. But.
Yeah. Or even if you and your spouse are just in a season where you just can't seem to get on the same page, and you need to talk to someone about that. Well, right?
But I would say too, there's a difference in talking to one person and talking to everybody.
Yes. Yeah. Right. And that's what I was going to say. That's part of where I was going, was like, you have to know who you can talk to. Right. And you have to, do it in a way that is seeking help and seeking clarity and seeking, rather than just, I'm running my spouse down.
Right. And so then I would say, I don't think my mom would even do that. I think not only did she not run him down, but I don't even think she would have talked to anybody about what she needed. Yeah. What they would have needed. I think she was just super, super protective of that.
Right. And so I think that it's healthy for us to like step back and take a look and go, okay, what's my motivation behind this? And is this something that we really need help with? And if so, who can we talk to?
Yeah. And so I definitely think we saw conflict, but then we saw it clearing up when you went in public. That seems to be like how we would have said that. And so then when you think about our own conflict and like how we've treated each other, I would definitely say early on, I didn't think much about what I said about you. Like I just was kind of flippant with those things. I wasn't thinking about how it would come off necessarily. Sometimes I was being playful. Sometimes I would be like, oh, I cannot believe you just did this, and just was talking about it. And like, probably there were times that I didn't paint you in a positive light. I don't know that I ever set out to do that. That I was like, oh, I'm going to go talk about my husband. I don't think I ever did that, but I don't know that I was always aware of the power of my words. And so now, as a mature woman, I definitely view that differently, right? Like I think I'm more protective about the things that I would say. Yeah. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to say or point out when, or agree that there might be something that needs to be worked on, but I'm not going to take out a billboard. Okay. Not that not that I did when we were younger either. No, the money for a billboard. But anyway, so what would you say about that, our conflict?
I agree. We typically put a good face forward publicly, even when we were having difficult seasons. You were more teasing than me for sure. That's not something I would be comfortable with.
But I don't think I was teasing in a hurtful way, or at least I never intended to be hurtful. If it came across that way, that wasn't my goal.
Yeah.
But my family definitely were teasers. Like we do, go tease and poke at each other when we do silly things, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something. My family definitely does that.
And I've gotten better, and I couldn't tell you exactly where it came from. But maybe I could. We kind of talked about it a little bit before the show, actually. So one of the results of my parents' conflict, and maybe this is a different episode, I don't know, but one of the results of my parents' conflict in me was that I believed that if I could just be quiet and good and make everybody happy, then no one would leave, right? Mm-hmm. And so... so that I got very...
You got comfortable with?
Well, no. So when you would tease,
mm-hmm.
and which is what your family did,
mm-hmm.
My insecurities, I would feel some kind of way about it, right? Maybe you would say something, and I knew you were teasing, but it still was hurtful to me. Like it still stung a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I was too afraid or insecure to say something about it to you because I was afraid you would leave.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about that before. Anytime we would fight, anytime we,
mm-hmm.
if we had an argument or a disagreement, I thought our marriage was ending,
mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Because that was the fear that I had from my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so the same that same thing affected how I would respond when you would tease.
Mm-hmm.
It might hurt my feelings, but I would never say that to you. I would just eat it. I would just bury it. And I would be mad and I would be hurt, but you would never know because I was afraid if I let you know that you would leave. Right? But the problem with that is that then it builds up anger and resentment in my
mm-hmm.
heart.
Mm-hmm. And I don't even know it's there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a weird dichotomy because it's like, I don't ever want you to leave, but I don't like you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's terrible. Well,
but that was my fault.
Yeah.
It was my fault.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't trying to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because for me, like the teasing and joking is like showing that you're a part of the group.
Yeah.
And it's not, I mean, like when I do it now, I don't know that I could speak for 26 years ago. I don't know that I remember well enough, but like I know when I'm teasing now, it's in a way to bring someone in, you know, and yeah, I'm joking and laughing and poking, but it's not in a way to like put someone down.
Right.
It's about,
right.
being funny.
But, and I'm mature enough now. I'm secure enough now that I'm comfortable with it. When you do those things, I laugh right along with you.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point in my life, I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of bring it back to the point of this show is that the conflict that we have with each other has an impact on our kids.
Right.
And that was the impact that my parents' conflict had on me. That it created in me a fear that everyone was going to leave, and that conflict meant leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I did everything in my power to avoid conflict. And so even if you hurt my feelings, I wouldn't say anything because that was conflict.
Mm-hmm.
If I could just avoid the conflict, then everybody would be happy and nobody would leave.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. And so then do you still feel like that's true for you?
I still feel that impulse, if that makes sense. Like when there's conflict, I still feel like the tension, I still feel like the fear, but I know what it is now.
Okay.
And so then I'm able to go, okay, no, that's not what's real. That's not true. That's not, and kind of step back, take a breath, and then engage the conflict in a healthy way if I need to, or, let go of the tension if it's if the conflict is not real. It's just perceived, because sometimes I perceive conflict when there's not even really conflict there.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to identify that now as well and go, okay, just let it go. This is fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you think about like what our kids see for us, like our interactions, like I don't think we really fight. We might fuss if there's a distinction. Maybe that's the Southern distinction.
We have intense fellowship.
So, like, to me, a fight is like ongoing. It lasts a long time. There's yelling.
Yeah.
I think fussing is maybe irritation, raised voices slightly, but then
Right.
it's over in just a couple seconds. Like,
Yeah.
it's not anything major.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you just stepped on my rug with your nasty shoes, and I have a cow about that. Like, or something like that. It's nothing that may or may not happen this morning in my office.
Yes. Well, so yesterday morning, actually, there was a little thing that we weren't even really fighting, I don't think, at least in my opinion,
Okay.
right? But there were some heightened emotions over a particular topic.
Yep.
And then when I went downstairs, one of our daughters was like, "What are y'all fighting about?" I was like, "We're not fighting." Yes, you were. It was like, "Oh, no." Here, I felt some kind of way about a thing, but,
Yeah.
but
I wondered that. I wonder if they heard that.
Yeah.
So they're asking.
yeah.
Did you tell them what it was about?
No.
Oh, okay. You could have.
Yeah, it wasn't anything I couldn't have told him, but no, I didn't.
Okay. Well, and so I think it's fairly uncommon for that even these days.
Yeah.
Now, that
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
true before.
Yeah.
I think we were good at fighting before. We kind of specialized
We
in
went
it.
through a season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could definitely give lessons probably. And so I don't know that they've always seen good examples. I mean, so Claire's our youngest, so she's probably seen the best of us because she's been around the shortest amount of time.
Yeah.
So Carly, as our oldest, has probably seen the worst, right?
Yeah.
She's seen all of that. And so I don't know that we always have been great examples.
Yeah.
I think that she's seen the changes in us. I would hope so. That's probably a conversation I would like to have with her. But I think that she's probably seen us grow,
Yeah.
as parents, as grown-ups, just as people. I
Right.
think that she's seen that.
Well, and just on a side note, I believe that's one of the greatest benefits of staying together and working through the issues is that your children get to see that. Mm-hmm. Gosh, I didn't get to see that,
Yeah.
right? And that's not to throw shade on my parents, but it matters.
Yeah.
Right? The reason I thought everything would fall apart whenever there was conflict is because
It
my
did.
family fell apart when there was conflict.
Right.
And one of my goals as a parent, somewhat because of what I went through, and a lot of other people like me, right? I'm not unique in this, but one of my absolute goals as a parent was for my kids not to see that, And yeah.
Well, and so I do think that that you model speaking respectfully to me, right? And I think that we speak respectfully to each other.
Yeah.
I don't think we talk meanly.
And we've over the years gotten even better, I think. Not that we never complimented each other, but we're pretty free with compliments these days.
Yeah. We even gross our kids out sometimes with those.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
That is pretty fun. And so I think that's shifted, but I don't know that there was a season that we probably couldn't have done that.
No.
It would have felt very awkward and weird and
It would have
insincere.
been forced.
Yeah.
And maybe I needed to force it, right? Maybe it would have
Yeah.
been good for my heart and good for my soul to force it, but it would have felt hard.
Yeah. And so when we think about how we've had conflict, how that's impacted our kids, like you had talked about, you feel like you see that in our own kids. Like, just give me some examples of that you were saying earlier, that when you think about how we fought and what our kids have seen and what that shows.
There's sometimes that I watch and they're not as patient as I would like them to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that some of that stems from the fact that you and I were not as patient when we were younger.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They'll raise their voices a little more quickly than I think would be appropriate or necessary, and I think again that's something that we modeled when they were young, you know, and of course we grew out of it and matured, and the Lord did His work in us, and I'm trusting that He'll do the same in them, but I do recognize that I bear some responsibility in that because I shaped them, right?
Well, and I think we even talked about how a couple of our daughters don't like to talk about their feelings or didn't at certain ages.
Yeah.
Like they're better now. As some of them are older, they're better, but during a particular age, they don't want to talk about their feelings.
Yeah.
And that you felt like that was probably something maybe from you.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I certainly buried my feelings when I was younger. And maybe if you listen to this show, you you just go, man, Todd's really free with talking about his feelings. It's not easy. Even still, I have to push myself to do it. Right? I know that it is good for me. It's like exercise, kind of. Like, I know that the pain of the thing that I'm doing will make me stronger, right? It will make me healthier. It will make, but it feels like that. It feels like exercise. It's like I have to force myself into this because I know that it is good for me. Now, there does come a point at which you lean into it more because you go, I'm going to feel way better tomorrow or, 6 months from now. I'm going to look like, my body's going to change. Like you get to that point, and I think that in some ways I've gotten to that point from an emotional stand, like where I'm like, I'm going to lean into this because I know that it is good for me. It doesn't feel good, but I know that the result's going to be good. But it's still hard.
Why do you think it's hard?
Vulnerable.
Okay.
I feel exposed. I feel like if I'm showing my weakness, people can either exploit it or they won't like me. That's really probably my greater fear, to be honest.
Yeah.
That people won't like me. So it's a rejection thing. If I tell you, if there's something wrong with me, then you won't want me.
Well, and that's interesting because I feel like the complete opposite, like with that. Like, I feel like it's harder for me not to tell you how I feel about something.
Well, good for you.
That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying that. Okay, sorry. But I mean, like, so I have to me, it's the opposite. Like, I have to figure out how to hold it back. Like, how to not overshare my feelings at times. Like, to go, okay, this is not a time to tell someone how I feel about this. Like, that I have to, like, gauge that and go, like, this isn't, either like this isn't about me, or this isn't about your feelings, or it's not appropriate that you tell someone how you feel about something right now, right? Because sometimes when I feel some kind of way, I want to let that person know I'm feeling some kind of way. Right? I mean, in an appropriate, godly manner. But right, like telling someone how I feel is just, it's second nature. And so then I have the complete opposite, that I've got to know when to like shut up, and not share it. So, but I don't know if we have a daughter that does that or not. Kind of, maybe. We have one.
Yeah.
That can do that.
Yeah.
That'll do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much of that's nature versus nurture, right? Because I feel like all three of them have seen the same things.
Right.
Maybe not the exact same arguments every time, but the same processes, right?
Yeah.
And so, of course, I want them all to be able to talk about their feelings. I see the value in that, I do struggle with giving them the space that they may want, because I want to respect that, but I also don't want to like isolate them or allow them to isolate and not do any checking. Yeah. Right. And so I do think that they are looking and watching, and like, we've got to pay attention to those things.
Sure.
So, I do think that they've picked up on the teasing. They do tease each other in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And like, they're able to laugh at themselves when they do silly things. Of
course, they're sisters. So sometimes it goes a little too far.
Yeah.
But
right.
But for the most part, they're able to tease each other and laugh and
when you do silly things, you laugh at yourself, and it's okay, And so, and you don't feel stupid in those situations. You just laugh and go, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe I did that." And you giggle and you move on. Yeah. Right. And so then you have hopefully you have a healthy sense of who you are, and
right.
It's easier to be around. So, do you have any tips for someone when you're thinking about like how you're interacting in front of your kids, or like what you're modeling, or in front of people? Do you have any thoughts about that? Like, what people should look at?
Talk about it when you're not upset with each other, right? Talk about it when your emotions aren't heightened, because that's the environment that you can actually make changes in, and you can receive information in, and all of that kind of thing. In the middle of an argument, or in the moment in public, when maybe your spouse says something that you're uncomfortable with, like pointing it out right then might not be the wisest thing. But you can't bury it. You can't let it, that old adage, let sleeping dogs lie. That's junk, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and so I saw I think it was on my Time Hop, so I saw it a few years back, I guess, but I had posted it, and it said, pay attention to who you're with when you feel good.
Yeah.
Those are your people, right? And so how that relates here is like, how do you feel when you're with your spouse? Do you feel good? Or do you not feel good? And so then if you're not feeling that good, there's probably something that you need to be talking about.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because you should be feeling your best when you're with your spouse. You should be like enjoying that time. You should be feeling secure. You should be feeling happy. You should feel supported. And if that's not the case, there probably needs to be a conversation about that.
For sure.
And maybe you don't feel that way 100% of the time, but the majority of your time together you should be feeling good about being connected with that. There's a question here I wanted to ask, and I'm going to read it so I get it right. So it says, if a fly on the wall in your home over the past week could talk, what kind of story would they tell about the emotional security of your children's environment? So if there's a fly on the wall, what would they say? For this week at our house.
Well, I think it would be a pretty solid story, that
we've had some emotional things happen with our kiddos.
Yeah, and that we've done our very best to be there for them, to listen to them, to sit by their side, and even the little thing that I talked about with us yesterday morning, where we were fussing, over that particular issue that we were talking about. Even that, I think, like what our kids saw was that we had a disagreement about a particular thing, and we might have even been a little animated about it, but we worked it out. And they saw us love each other well and continue to, and so, which I think creates stability and security in a kid when they see their parents, be real people, like have a disagreement about something, work it out, and still love each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think one thing that I would say that I feel like has changed in how you and I interact is that we fuss and let it go. When I think before and at times we have fussed and not let it go.
Oh yeah.
And it's lasted way longer. And so I feel like we have the disagreement and then it's over. And that's new for us. Don't you think?
Pretty new.
Pretty new. And so, because I don't think we've always done that. I think that we would fight and then it would, or fuss or whichever, and we'd hang on to it for a while.
Yeah. Well, I think that
I was really great at that. By the way,
you?
I'll own that.
Yeah.
I'm great at hanging on to that.
I wasn't going to throw you under the
Whatever,
bus.
I'll own it.
But I think part of that is getting to the place where you recognize that that it's not a statement of worth or value. Like if you disagree with me on something, it doesn't mean that you love me any less, or that it doesn't mean that there's that I'm somehow diminished in that. Even if but I think for a long time that's how it landed, that it was, it struck my identity kind of button, and now I don't feel that way. It's like, if we disagree about something, it's a thing, it's not me.
Right. So I think what I would encourage our listeners to do is to take a minute and do some assessing, like assess, think back to the last time you were either in front of your kids with your spouse or in front of other people with your spouse. How did you treat them?
Yeah.
How did you interact with them? Right. What did you talk about? How did you interact? What did you say to them? Were you putting them down? Were you building them up? Were you complimenting them? Were you criticizing them? What were you doing? So take a second and evaluate that, and then change if you need to change. Right.
Right.
And then also, I think you should ask the question of your spouse, like you said, not in an argument, but say, how do I make you feel in front of other people? When we're in front of our kids, or if we're when we're with family, when we're with our friends, do I make you feel safe? Do I make you feel insecure? Do you feel like I'm poking at you? Like, how do you feel when we're together?
Right.
And like, ask that question and have a real honest conversation about it. And then make the changes that need to be made when that happens.
Yeah.
Then the third thing is, I think you asked that same question about the fly on the wall. Like, if you had a camera in your house, right? Maybe we don't have flies anymore, but you got a camera, because we have those.
Yeah.
If you had a discussion,
what would Alexa say?
There you go. And so, like, if someone's in there and they're like, walk in, or they hear what's going on, or they see it, you're on Big Brother, or they're watching you on camera, what's going to be the assessment of your household?
Yeah.
And so thinking about it in those terms, what needs to change.
Right.
What do
Yeah,
you need
those
to
are good.
celebrate that you're doing well? Like, definitely acknowledge that. Take time to say to your spouse, hey, we're doing good in this area. I feel like that we are
That's
kicking
important.
butt and taking names when it comes to these areas.
Yep.
And then I think this is an area that we should look at
Yeah.
and then discuss those things.
I think you're dead on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I think next time what we discuss that we want to talk about is, and also a parenting thing, but talking about how to encourage a relationship with the opposite parent.
Okay.
Because I think sometimes we don't do that.
Right.
I think that we try to hog
We
the
want to
kid.
be the favorite.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
how do you encourage those things? And that's even important when parents are split up. So
Yeah, true.
I think we got a good conversation coming up.
Could be a good one.
Okay, tune in next time.
Same call. Bye, guys.